Wisp Sports Radio, the voice of women in sport.
Hello, and thank you for downloading The Horse Show on Wisp Sports. This is Season 4, Episode 8, and I'm Chris Stafford. My guest this week is Mexican show jumper Lorenza O'Farrell, who played a pivotal role in helping Mexico win the Nations Cup in Coapexpan recently, riding her 14-year-old Oldenburg gelding, Queen's Darling. And it proved to be a great competition for her because she also did the double on her home turf by winning the Grand Prix on her 11-year-old Oldenburg mare Calvera, proving that she's back on form after what has been a very challenging few years. Just 7 years ago, Lorenza suffered a serious injury when a horse kicked her in the back, and several surgeries, and 10 months later, she was to return to the saddle, but not without some frightening setback, when at one point she was even unable to walk. Now she is as ambitious as ever, and reflects on when she rode in the 1998 Rome World Equestrian Games, where she finished 56th individually, riding Tigger. So, some 26 years later, and she is as ambitious as ever, with her sights set on the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games with Calvera. In the meanwhile, she is planning to spend this summer in Calgary for the Spruce Meadows Summer Circuit, before she heads to Lima, Peru, as part of the Mexican team for the Pan American Games. And as she explains, this is a vital Olympic qualification, although they do have a second opportunity at the Nations Cup final in Barcelona in September to secure their Olympic ticket. Lorenza's home life comprises riding 6 horses a day and managing her husband's sport horse breeding operation, and staying fit with daily yoga exercises to strengthen her back. And importantly, she is the mother of 19-year-old Enrique, who will shortly be heading to college in Monterrey. Being a mother, she said, is one of the most important things she has ever done in her life. He has challenged me to be the best person I can be, she said. And he has taken her off social media too, so she has more time for reading. I caught up with Lorenza as she was preparing to leave home for a few months and head north to her next competition in Langley, Canada. Hello, Lorenza. Thank you for joining me and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's very nice of you.
Well, congratulations, first of all, winning the Nations Cup there, really clinching it for Mexico, a very exciting competition. You must have been, I would imagine, quite emotional by that win after what you've been through.
Yeah, it was very emotional, first because as an athlete, represent your country and doing it in the Nations Cup with your teammates and winning in your country. And it's the most exhilarating and the best feeling you can have as an athlete. So, and it was emotional also because I have family there, and it's a great venue, and it has taken me a while to come to this level. And having those wins, the Nations Cup and also the Grand Prix was very exciting, like that I'm on the good track again.
Well, definitely on the right track again. And we should explain that you were riding Queen's Darling, your 14-year-old Oldenburg gelding there in the Nations Cup. And then you won the Grand Prix with your 11-year-old, also Oldenburg mare, Calvera. So not only one win, but two, a fantastic result for you, as you say, on home turf. Let's talk about coming into that competition a little bit now, Lorenza. Were you expecting those kind of results? Were the horses going really well and you were, not too surprised by the win?
Oh, I have, in my life, my best horses have come to me. And these horses got into my life, and 3 years ago, a friend called me that he was having trouble with Calvera, and he couldn't ride her anymore, and gave me the chance to decide whether to place her to sell her whatever I wanted to do with her. And I got on her and I said, I think this is going to be one of the best horses I've ever had. And it's going to take me like 3 years. And this is what's been happening. It's been, like, I've had her in December, 3 years. So that's very exciting. And also Queen's Darling, he was my husband's horse. And he's a very spooky horse. And he had 2 falls. So that's how I started to ride the horse. And after I had good results, he gave it to me. And it was very exciting because I had my horse in 98 Tiger, the one I rode Rome with. He was a very spooky horse, just like Queen's Darling. So when I started riding Queens, it was like putting on a glove that fits you. And I knew he had it in him to be a special horse in the big fences as Calvira, even though there's opposite in the way they jump and the way they react. And so I'm very delighted because I like developing horses as much as I like competing.
Well, you certainly have produced some great results with these, and it's obviously partnerships that work. But I think it's an interesting story that you have. You mentioned there Rome, Lorenza. Back in 1998, I was there, Estadio Flamenco. We had a fantastic competition, and you competed with Tigger, as you mentioned. But things have not always gone your way since then. You had a very bad accident, didn't you? Tell us how that happened.
Oh, yes, that was like 7 years ago. We were at a horse show here in Mexico, and some horses were coming out of a prize-giving ceremony, and I got kicked by a horse on the hip, and that made a vertebrae move a little bit, and then with the years it started to get worse until the point I couldn't even walk. And during this time, I was riding a horse, Pekin Saint Denis, when I qualified for Normandy, and the day we were supposed to go to the stadium, my horse was headed to a clinic, and he had a colic surgery. So after he was good again, I decided to have the surgery, and I've been riding again for 2 years because it was a back surgery. I got 6 screws, and then I started riding again, and the hip started to hurt, and then they noticed that I had also torn the labrum, so I also had to get that fixed. And so it's nice to be on the horses again. It's my passion, and I've always followed it and feel blessed that I can do the thing I like doing the most.
Well, clearly it was meant to be, but that's an incredible recovery, Lorenza. Tell us a little bit more about when the horse kicked you in the hip, in the back. What damage did it actually do to the back that you had to have surgery or a series of surgeries?
Yeah, it took like four years after I got kicked, almost 5, because my hip would hurt, and I got some X-rays and some tests done, and they noticed that one of the vertebrae moved like 25 degrees. But with the physical therapy, I was able to keep riding for some years until the pain became unbearable, and that's when we decided that I definitely had to have the surgery. And many doctors told me that I shouldn't ride, but the neurosurgeon that had the surgery said that if I was very disciplined and listened to him, I would be back on the horse. It took me like 7 months, almost a year between the 2 surgeries, but I've been very dedicated to my physiotherapy and to getting better with my body, even with nutrition, because also of my age, I have to compete against youngsters, and I have to be as fit as ever, and so my back is strong again, no? With no back, we cannot ride.
But, you know, when we have a bad injury like this, it's a setback to that extent, which really was a major setback in your career, not being able to ride. There's also the mental challenge, isn't there, Lorenza? How did you cope with the mental aspect of rehabbing and recovering so that you could ride and be competitive again?
I have a lot of determination, and I've practiced meditation for many, many years, and I think that has helped me a lot. Also, last year I was having better results, but I still felt like I was stuck and not going forward. So I also started working with a sports psychologist, Tatiana, and she's been wonderful because she has helped me. I was letting emotional things interfere with my results, and that's unadmissible if you want to be on a team, and you have to be able to get those things out of the way so you can perform your best, no? And she has given me the tools necessary, and we worked for a while, and then I did last year for the championship, and I won it starting first day until the third day, so it was like a very important test for me, mentally and physically, and to prove also that my horse had the qualities to do championships and bigger fences and have top results. So that gave me that opened the door. So my chef d'equipe had different eyes on me, and he gave me the chance in Jalapa, and it was wonderful to prove I can manage everything now, no?
Absolutely, you proved that. So how long were you unable to ride then after the injuries and the surgeries, Lorenza?
Almost 10 months.
Yeah,
10
that's
months
a long time.
Both surgeries, yeah.
And since you've been able to ride again and be competitive, how do you feel? How is your back and hip?
Yeah, I have to be careful, because when you're riding a lot of horses and competing, sometimes I feel very stiff. So I have a program I have to follow very strict series of workouts. I follow the EGOSQ method that has helped me a lot. And they personalize these workouts depending on what you have. And they have an office here in Mexico, and they've done wonders for me. So I'm very strict with that. And if I do it during the show, between horses, that helps me a lot. I ice it, and then I do a lot of yoga postures. So you stretch, because we tend to compress everything, and then it gets very tight, and that's when things can go wrong, no? The same as horses. Yeah, the same as horses, yeah.
Exactly the same as horses. So you do some cross-training then. What about core strength? Do you do yoga? Does that help?
A lot of core. I do a lot of planks and abdominal workouts, and cross training. Yes, like jumping jacks and things like burpees.
Yes.
Not spending a lot of time, in a gym, because we travel a lot. So normally I have a yoga mat with me, and if I have a bench or something to do some of the workouts, and I'm ready to go. So I can. There's no way I cannot do it. No, wherever I go, I have to do it so I can be good with my horse.
Yes, exactly. All the more important now, as you say, when you've had such a serious injury. So you mentioned there, all the horses that you have to ride. What is a typical day for you? How many horses do you ride?
Normally, I ride about 6 horses, because my passion also is to develop them. So I have some young horses, and I have my show horses. They get trail ridden, and they have their workout programs, no? That sometimes they have to get condition. Others I take them a lot for trail riding. I think it's very healthy for their fitness, and very important for their mind. And so I get to my barn at 9. I come back at home at 3:30. I spend 6 hours there checking everything that's good, because also my husband has a breeding farm. So he has the breeding farm, but I have to be in charge of it. And it's very nice, but it takes a lot of time. It's nice. And
yeah, it is time consuming though. What are you breeding? Mainly show jumpers?
Time consuming. Show jumpers. Yeah, definitely show jumpers. It started out with him like for a hobby, and he had some mares that many years ago had been gooded, and they were chin mares, but very small type or thoroughbred type that didn't have the scope or the power. So now that I'm there, I've tried to put some like good mares that have done some Grand Prix and have great results, because now it's so important, the mare and also the sire. And I can see that, like I have some 6-year-old group of horses, like 3 that look so different that the horses we used to have like 10 years ago, The level of the horses are so much better, so it's very exciting to train with them and to see what happens, no? Yeah.
Yes, it's always fun, isn't it, once you breed them, following them through their career. So how many mares do you have then, and do you have some stallions?
Yeah, the stallions, we have now one that we got from La Silla, and it's Showy. It's by Chapultepec, and the mother is by Risueño. So it's very interesting. And we used to have a Cartago sire that he did very well and was an approved stallion. So we bred a lot of our mares to that. And our mares are, we have Cartago, Caretano, Clinton, another Belgian mare that I cannot recall the sire, and we have a good thoroughbred mare, and more or less that's what we have.
So how many horses do you have in work then at your stables now, Lorenza? How many are you showing internationally? I know you've got, 4 of your own that you have registered, but how many do you have in the stables altogether?
In the stables working, we have about 20, more or less.
Right, and you're riding 6 of those and showing four of those. So you'll be going up to Canada again shortly to spend the summer up in Spruce Meadows. So who will you be taking? All of your horses?
I take my international horses and also a mare that I have that I haven't been able to compete her because of health issues, but hopefully, because I think she's a fighter, and she used to do some Grand Prix already, but then she got lame and we had to get her back, and then she had a colic surgery and they cut some intestines, so that took a lot of time to get her back. But I still have faith in her because she's a little warrior. She's a Kidam mare bred in La Nutria here in Mexico, and she's tiny. Tina Salas used to ride her and had some good results. And the other 3 horses are the ones I took to Jalapa, which are Queen's Darling, Calvera, and Vecino, which we co-bred him with another farm. And he's like a revelation because he was always very good, but I was quite uncertain that he could do bigger fences. But one day my husband said, I think he feels better. You should try him. Give him a chance, because I gave that horse to my husband so he would have fun with him. And I said, okay, give it back to me. And I took him to Valvanera like 2 months ago. And he felt so much, I don't know what happened and which way he matured. And the way he moves, he feels so much better. Then he had very good results in Jalapa, so I am taking him to Canada. He's an amazing horse. And it's nice because we had him since he was a baby, a 3-year-old. Yeah.
Yeah, in Belvanera, and he's just 10, Vecino.
Yeah, and I've always shown him, so I gave it to my husband. He had it like for a year. Sometimes I would work him on the flat because I like that very much. I have a lot of pleasure on working the horses properly on the flat. It's very important for me, and I enjoy it a lot. So it's a horse that I've always trained. So it's a joy to ride him and see where he is. No, so it's like a surprise.
Yes.
It's like you know, in horses you never know. Some horses you think have it and they never get there, and then these horses that surprise you. No.
Yes, well, you certainly got a stable of good horses there. And you mentioned going up to Canada shortly. It is, of course, the third and last leg of the North and Central American Caribbean League Series. So you presumably will be back on the team, but which horse will you ride in the Nations Cup?
Well, Stanley wants to give the chance to other horse rider combinations, so he can. He has to name the complete team for the Pan American Games there. So because I offered him that for me it would be great, no, it's such a honor, and I would have loved to have Calvira in the team, and I let him know that if he needs her, she's going to be ready, and because he already officially named us, Queen's Darling and myself on the team for the Pan Am Games, so we are only going to be concentrating with Queen's Darling to have him fit. He will be showing the first week in Spruce Meadows and the last one, and only one of the big Grand Prix. So he peaks again at the Pan Am Games, no?
Yes, absolutely. And it will be here before we know it. When do you actually travel down to Peru? Then do you go straight there from Canada?
No, I think we're flying those horses to Canada. So they fly back, and I think just... they're trying to make it as close to the date. It's the first week of August. So the horses don't have to spend too much days there, no?
Yes.
As they do with all the international horses, they try to get them as close to the show as possible. So the height, or if the sea level doesn't affect them and things like that, no?
Yes, exactly.
I'm very lucky that, my place is 3,000 meters high. So my horses have a top condition, and I do work them like twice a week. I concentrate on that. So all of my international horses can be ready for Nations Cup, no? If they have to do the 2 rounds. If you could pay attention, my horse was still playing and very playful after the second round, because I put a lot of attention in that, no, for my horse.
Yes.
So it's not like an extra thing for them. They can do it very well and don't get tired or do an extra effort, no? It's very important.
It is, and being 3,000 meters above sea level gives you an advantage, of course, when it comes to fitness, that's for sure. And then looking ahead then to Tokyo, perhaps now, is this something that you would hope to be on that team with Queen's Darling?
Yeah, with Queen's Darling or Calvira, because I always tell her that, like, her nickname is Project Tokyo. And it's a dream I've had since I was a child, to win my gold medal at the Olympic Games. I think all of us riders that we enjoy this, we always have this dream, no? And I want to pursue it, and it's amazing that in our sport we can still do it, no? And Nick Skelton was a great example and a lot of motivation for me, that you can do it and dream big and just work hard and keep going. No, it could happen. Why?
Yes.
Why not? Yeah, both of the horses. I think both of the horses would be. Any of those 2 horses would be ready. No, and yeah. Let's see what happens.
See what happens. Well, you certainly have a great choice there between those 2. Now, do you prefer riding mares or geldings then, Lorenza? Or does it matter?
It doesn't matter. I've also ridden stallions with very good results. And, I try to be very respectful about their nature and try to understand how can I communicate with my horses, no? Even though you have the basics the same, sometimes it's like people. You need a different approach to get the result you want. So I'm very respectful about their natures. And like Queen's Darling, he's a super spooky horse. And I've been very consistent in the way I ask him to do the things. And he's been very, very understanding. And now we have this communication. And when we go in the ring, you can see we're like very concentrated on what we're about to do. But after I go through the finish line, the timers, I always let the loose rein, and he will spook at something. Sometimes it's at the crowd or maybe at something. He's super funny, and I let him do that, and that's like a crowd pleaser because people laugh at what he does. Like, how was he able to do a clean round and then come and spook at something so basic, no? But it's the way he is, and I let him do his little things. So whenever I ask him to do what I want, he will do it with a joy, like willingly.
Yes.
As it should be, not forced or, they have to really be with you, like in a willing, and I think it's from a place of love, if you can say it. It's your teammate, like your accomplice or your best friend, when you get into the ring.
That's so true. He's your partner, isn't he? So when you think back on your career and how you remarkably came back from that awful injury there, Lorenza, what do you most enjoy about being involved in sport, and not just equestrian sport, but sport?
Well, I think it's very important because it forms your character. And for me, it's been very important because in life, many things happen, and to everybody, good and bad things. But when you have a passion and you commit to this passion, it helps you go through many, many things that you would never imagine you could go through, with discipline and commitment and putting all your passion into what you've decided to do. Helps you go through many things and have even the joy of having results, when you go to a competition and you have good results. I think it's very important in life.
Yes, absolutely. And clearly you're still very ambitious. So I'm wondering what your goals are now when you look at what's possible and what you're dreaming of now for the future. What would those goals be?
My goals would be to keep this high standard in the top competitions. Like I'm going to be very concentrated now with the 3 Grand Prix I'm doing with Calvira, and I want those top results with her because she can do it, and to go for the medals for the Pan American Games because it's also very important for Mexico. It's our qualifier for the Olympic Games, so we have to be very focused and determined and committed to have that good result. Also as a team, start working as a team because I think it's important. And sometimes your teammates could see a flaw or something, and they could recall something that you haven't noticed and make us stronger as a team. It's very important.
Well, it's a very exciting future with the team of horses that you have there, Lorenza. So I want to wish you the very, very best of luck on your road to Tokyo. That's the target with either horse. And good luck this summer in Calgary and, of course, for the Pan Am Games too. And thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you and for your time, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Conversations from the world of women's sports. This is Wisp Sports Radio.
And if you want to read the show notes on our website at wispsports.com, just go to the Listen tab and look for The Horse Show. And on there you will find a link to Lorenza's biography. And whilst you're on the website, we always encourage you to stop by and listen to some of the other shows, or read some of the articles or blogs, or watch some of the videos that are a part of our extensive coverage of women's sports. And you can also join in the conversation at any time by following us on social media at Wisp Sports. If you'd like to contact us directly with any comments or questions or suggestions for guests or sports that we should be covering, you can drop us a line to info@wispsports.com. I'll be back next week with another episode of The Horse Show. Until then, thank you for listening and supporting women in sport everywhere.